Good morning, guys. JD from New York here, your WWE Monday Night Raw review for last night's show, July 8th, 2013. Now, if you guys are new to my channel, you guys know that I'm a big wrestling guy, and if you watched my trailer video and introduction to my channel, which I'll post on screen right now with an annotation, I'll leave the link down below, it tells you guys what this channel is about. Yes, I do Call of Duty. Yes, I do gaming. But I'm also a big WWE guy, and all I ask for you guys is to respect that. You may not be into it, but if you enjoy my content, you'll respect the fact that I'm doing something that I'm passionate about. And like I said, I know it's not for everybody, but I do this on a weekly basis. I do the Monday Night Raw breakdown. I give you my opinion on what happened last night, and then I do a news and rumors section later on during the weekend. And that's it. This is your best content for WWE material on YouTube, hands down. Nobody has an opinion like I do. I've been watching the product for 25 years, and I love expressing my opinion and talking about the product with everyone who is interested in listening. Now that I got that out of the way, guys, also social media, Twitter, Facebook, and obviously YouTube. You guys know to subscribe. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and do that. But Monday Night Raw last night, guys, it was a good show. It just wasn't the best show. It wasn't the best lead-in show for one of your biggest pay-per-views of the year. Now, the reason why I say it was only a good show is because just like last week, now, I missed last week's show, okay? I missed last week's show because of, my computer. I had to get my computer set up, and I was away. I wasn't near a TV, so I didn't miss, or I didn't, watch any of the show. I had to rewatch it on YouTube. But last night's show, the crowd just dragged everything down, just like the previous week. The crowd just killed it midway through the show, and the crowd started off hot. I figured the Baltimore crowd, it's an East Coast crowd, they would have been a little bit more enthusiastic. But the second week in a row, the crowd kind of dragged the show down and really didn't create a buzz like we know the crowd should be doing. Now, next week, Monday Night Raw is coming from Brooklyn. It's at the Barclays Center, the new home for the Brooklyn Nets, basketball, NBA. That crowd is going to be crazy. Crowd is going to be crazy because it's New York City, and New York City only knows how to do crazy. But that show should be off the wall good, following a pay-per-view. That's a perfect crowd for that. But the crowd, I think, just dragged the show down. It didn't create a sense of excitement. It didn't, engage the viewer. But there was a few highlights that I'm going to talk about. I'll talk about the two main points of the show, and then I'll quickly run through the remaining matches that happened last night, give you the winners on that. The one thing I want to talk about, though, is the Wyatt family. This is something that we've been all anticipating for weeks now. And the way WWE has been introducing them, you know that they're going to be high up on them. And last night was no different. They had several clips shown throughout the show of a cameraman trying to track down the Wyatt family. Now, the first video that we seen, the first clip that we seen was this WWE cameraman out in the middle of nowhere looking for the Wyatt family. These two guys, one creepy looking motherfucker, and then one big guy, big fat guy. Obviously they were doing something. It looks like they were putting something into the trunk of a van. He tells them to go 2 miles up the road, right? And that's when the first clip ends. But you can also hear the creepy looking guy, the older guy, say, "Follow the buzzards. You'll hear the buzzards." So that's the first clip. And then the second clip is the cameraman finally finding a house, an abandoned house. He sees a little fire going on in the background, in the backyard behind the house. And then all of a sudden you see Eric Rowan. I don't know if he was chopping wood with an axe. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if he was shoveling something from the ground. I don't know. I really couldn't tell. But all of a sudden, the camera panned in on him, took a shot of him, and then all of a sudden, he disappeared. Then Luke Harper comes from behind, says, "Follow me." Takes him into the house. The cameraman comes into the house, and all of a sudden, you hear these creepy chants. I don't know what they were chanting, but it was like some cult-like activity going on in the house. He tries to open the door. You see some guy mesmerized, just standing there chanting something. And all of a sudden, you see Bray Wyatt come into frame. And he's like, "Welcome. I've been expecting you." And then that's when the second clip ends. And then during the Kane versus Christian match, Kane ended up beating Christian last night, leading into the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. The Wyatt family clips continue. All of a sudden, you hear Bray Wyatt rocking back and forth in a rocking chair, and he just starts talking. And immediately when you hear him talk, he's gonna be one of those guys when he says something, you're gonna have to listen to him, because the way he portrays himself is unlike anything that I've seen in years in the WWE. Like I said, he's in a rocking chair. He lights a lantern. He's talking about how people are sheep and need to be led. He says it's time for everybody to wake up and see the lie that they are living in. This is not the beginning. This is the end. The lantern goes out and he strikes a match, lighting it again. Then we see Eric Rowan and Luke Harper in the shadows, and Bray says, "We are finally here." They go back to live action. The music hits. They walk down the aisle in complete darkness with nothing but the lantern. You see Eric Rowan and Luke Harper in the shadows following behind, Rowan wearing the goat mask, Luke Harper looking like one of the guys from System of a Down, And it was just a great moment, because you can't help but be excited when new talent comes in, and especially new talent that's been completely hyped, like Bray Wyatt. Now, Bray Wyatt is the son of IRS. He is destined for greatness. He's going to be a major player. He's going to be a major star. And I've said this before. No character like this is currently on WWE TV. We have not seen a character like this since the Attitude Era. That's creepy. That's sadistic. And that's going to be taken seriously. Bray Wyatt is going to be taken seriously. They attack Kane, leave Kane, lying on the mat. I heard he was stretchered out. Throw him into the steel steps. They just pulverized him on the outside. Bray Wyatt comes over after he sees Kane lying on the ground, kneels down beside him, and just looks over him as Kane lays motionless on the ground. Drops to his knees, poses in front of Kane. It was just a great moment as a WWE fan, because you can't help, like I said, get excited about new talent. But I don't know where they're leading this up to. Kane is the perfect guy to feud with these guys. Kane wasn't doing anything. Daniel Bryan obviously split. Team Hell No is no more. Daniel Bryan is going to be fighting for the WWE Championship against John Cena going into the summer. We all know this. I've been reporting this on this channel. Kane was without anything to do, so Kane is the perfect guy here. They don't fit into any other storyline currently going on right now on WWE TV. That's why Kane makes the perfect opponent. Now, will this be a SummerSlam match? I don't know how exciting a Kane match at SummerSlam is with a new talent that nobody knows yet. They have to get to know him on WWE TV. We need to see that amazing mic skill on TV. We need to see this presence on TV live on television every week. They need to build him up now. They did a fantastic job of building him up, and now they need to do it again on live TV. They got a great pop when they came out as well. The crowd was anticipating it, and the only thing, like I said, the crowd just sucked the fucking energy out of the show. They started chanting Husky Harris. That's uncalled for. You got a guy fucking completely into his character and enjoying every moment of this, and all of a sudden you start chanting Husky Harris. Fans like that, have no taste at all. They have no shame, and that's disgusting. And I actually read this morning that on all reruns and replays of this show, WWE is going to be editing out the Husky Harris chants, which is good, because that's the past. This is now. This is Bray Wyatt. That's not Husky Harris. But I've also been hearing rumors that Kane, being in this Wyatt family feud, and, the Wyatts picking him as their first opponent, it's all speculation now that the Undertaker is going to be coming in and teaming with Kane to feud with the Wyatt family at SummerSlam, which eventually will lead to a Bray Wyatt versus Undertaker match. Now, I, for one, would absolutely love to see that. We've also been hearing, and I've also been reporting, that the Undertaker was put out of commission, put out of action by The Shield, and was going to be The Shield versus Kane and The Undertaker at SummerSlam. I don't know what they're doing with The Undertaker, but I'm hearing now that The Undertaker is injured. which I don't believe. Because before he was put through the table by the Shield, I heard he was doing excellent. He was in good health. I mean, I don't believe these reports at all. I know for a fact, or I don't know for a fact, I should say, but I have a gut feeling that The Undertaker is going to be at SummerSlam. He needs to be at SummerSlam. It makes no sense for him not to be at SummerSlam. Put him against the Shield. Put him against the Wyatt family. Either one of these two teams would be fantastic for the Brothers of Destruction. It would get the internet buzzing. It would get the entire wrestling industry buzzing. You need to have it happen. That's what I want to see. You know, The Undertaker at SummerSlam is going to sell that pay-per-view alone. You know, on top of Punk versus Lesnar and Cena versus Bryan. WWE, I've been saying this for weeks, WWE has the opportunity to make SummerSlam probably the best ever with proper booking. If the Wyatt family ends up fighting the Brothers of Destruction, as is the Shield, if they even go against the Brothers of Destruction, it's going to be a memorable night. So hopefully those reports I'm hearing about The Undertaker being injured are false, but I know The Undertaker loves working with new talent. So, you know, I'm just going to be optimistic on this one and say The Undertaker is going to be at SummerSlam. Now, the other thing we had last night was Vickie Guerrero and her job evaluation. Now, this was all done to poke fun at TNA's gut check, is what I read last night before the show hit the air. The WWE wanted to poke fun at TNA and their gut check challenge. They wanted to do a sit-down with a panel of three. You had Stephanie, Vince, and Triple H evaluating Vickie Guerrero's job. Vince wanted Vickie to stay around. He was praising Vickie for a job well done. He wants to make her complete GM of Monday Night Raw. Triple H went on and on about how she's got, a good personality, but, she has got some good qualities about her, but they booed her out of the building last week. Stephanie McMahon didn't want to hear any of it. She wanted Vickie fired, So Triple H and Vince McMahon kind of went back and forth on disagreeing, over Vickie's status. So Vince said he's going to leave it up to his daughter. Triple H said, if you're going to leave it up to Stephanie, Stephanie's going to make the right decision because she is my wife. She's the mother of my two children. And she is the one that's going to be coming home with me later tonight. And she's going to have to hear my mouth. But Vickie was pretty much on her last leg as advisor of Raw anyway, because I knew what Stephanie was going to do before she even said anything. They had this WWE app poll. Stephanie said that she's going to leave it in the hands of the audience and the WWE app. Did Vickie do a good job? Yes or no? 75% of the people said no, so Vickie was fired. She started screaming all over the place. Vince tried to console her in the ring, so she is no longer the advisor of Monday Night Raw. Vince said that the crowd needs a general manager, and he wants to give them the best. He wants to give them quality. So he actually made Brad Maddox the new general manager of Monday Night Raw. Now, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think Maddox is fit for this role just yet. I really think that Monday Night Raw doesn't need a general manager anyway. They do need an on-air personality, which has been, pretty much a staple for Monday Night Raw for as long as I've known it. We've had Mike Adamle, we had Eric Bischoff, we had Mick Foley, we had Steve Austin, we had Vince McMahon, we had Triple H, all these different personalities. Vickie Guerrero now Brad Maddox. Monday Night Raw could definitely use that on-air personality, someone who really isn't the general manager but just playing one on TV. Maddox, I like Maddox on TV. I think he's got room for potential. He's got room for growth. He is young, so I do see him getting better with age. But, it was kind of anticlimactic to just have Vince McMahon come out and say, you know what, you're the new GM. But that was that. I know Vince is still, Vince later on in the show is still trying to console Vickie Guerrero. So I know Vickie Guerrero is going to have some type of role here. Maybe Vince is going to try and get her job back. Maybe Vince will put her on SmackDown. I don't know. We'll have to find out what's next for Vickie Guerrero, but I really didn't like Vickie Guerrero as an on-air personality. I hated her voice. The only thing I liked about Vickie, the one quality as an on-air heel that Vickie Guerrero possessed was that she was booed out of the building. She got so much crowd heat that it was just, it made for a great atmosphere for the arena. That's it. They booed her out of the building so badly that you can hardly hear her speak when she's talking with a microphone. That's the only quality I like. Other than that, I really didn't care for Vickie Guerrero. I think she overstayed her welcome. She's been on SmackDown. She's been on Raw. She had a romance angle with Edge. You know, it's all done. Vickie Guerrero is the past. It's time for some fresh blood to get in there. That's one of the positives I see out of this Brad Maddox situation. So hopefully Brad Maddox does a great job and gets better each week as an on-air personality now that he's going to be the major role of the Raw GM, you know? So hopefully that happens, and we'll see how it unfolds leading into the summer. That's all we can do. But the rest of the show, guys, the rest of the show was all right. They started off good. Daniel Bryan defeated Sheamus in a rematch of their WrestleMania match where Sheamus beat him in 18 seconds for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's a nice way to start off the show. I'm glad WWE is actually doing that, starting off the show hot right at 8 o'clock. They should do that more often. They did clips of RVD all night, showing him in several highlights of his WWE career. So everybody's getting amped up for RVD. I can't wait to see RVD back in the WWE. That Philadelphia crowd is going to be fucking unbelievable when he comes out. It's going to be amazing. We had Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, The Shield, beat Tensai and Brodus Clay last night. Just a throwaway match. The Shield won that one. We had Chris Jericho versus Curtis Axel, your IC champion. That was a decent match. Curtis Axel is fighting The Miz at Money in the Bank, defending his IC strap. The Miz was on microphone with Michael Cole and JBL and Jerry the King, so he distracted Curtis Axel. Curtis Axel was about to get counted out, and Paul Heyman said, listen, get back in the ring, you're going to get counted out. Chris Jericho was waiting in the ring like a predator. Boom, he hits the code breaker, 1, 2, 3. Curtis Axel gets his first loss under Paul Heyman's advisement, so Chris Jericho wins that one. Another throwaway match, Sin Cara, unbelievable. Sin Cara versus Alberto Del Rio, another throwaway match, like I said. That one I really didn't care for. I actually stepped out of the apartment to go get some fresh air for that one, so I really didn't see who won that. I think it was a count-out or a disqualification because Ziggler came down and interfered in that one because they're fighting for the World Heavyweight strap at Money in the Bank. And we had Kane versus Christian. Kane defeated Christian in that one. That's when the Wyatt family made their introduction. AJ and Alicia Fox versus Caitlyn and Layla, another throwaway match. That one pretty much ended in a no contest. Caitlyn spears AJ at the end, just leaving her lying motionless on the floor. And the main event was CM Punk versus Randy Orton. CM Punk nails a GTS for the win on that one. And after the match, Daniel Bryan attacks him, which I was surprised about. Daniel Bryan comes out and attacks him, throws him over the ropes. And then Bryan goes under the ring, grabs a ladder, runs into the ring, sets the ladder up, and climbs up the ladder and grabs the briefcase that's hanging above the show all night. Bryan's music hits, and he celebrates with the briefcase in his hand, crowd chanting, yes, 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 as Raw goes off the air. Now, the reason why they did that is because Daniel Bryan, I fully expect to win that briefcase at Money in the Bank for Monday Night Raw. He's my choice to win it. I don't care what anyone else tells me. Daniel Bryan is going on to SummerSlam to fight John Cena for the WWE Championship. You're not going to prove me otherwise. Punk is not ready to be thrown into that World Heavyweight Championship or WWE Championship picture because he's going to be fighting Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, so you can eliminate Punk right there. Randy Orton is, he hasn't been in the world title picture on both shows in months, so I don't expect him to win. He may place third or second in this one, but he's not going to win it. Christian's not going to win it. Kane's not going to win it. I mean, Punk is, probably going to be the second choice here, but he's not going to win it. He's fighting Lesnar, like I said, at SummerSlam. But Daniel Bryan, I fully expect to win this match. There's no other reason to believe anybody else is going to win it. Daniel Bryan's been the hottest guy on TV. Daniel Bryan's going to be in that WWE Championship match at SummerSlam. The reports have been saying it. I'm going with the reports. It only makes sense. That's my opinion. But guys, that is your Monday Night Raw review. I hope you enjoyed this week's show, this week's opinion, this week's review. If you did, please subscribe, hit that like button. I will be back this week, as always, with your WWE news and rumors. Until then, guys, this is JD. I'm signing out. I'm going to be playing Call of Duty and The Last of Us all week. So if you guys are into that, continue to check my channel out. Thank you for all newcomers who have subscribed. I really appreciate it. We're on our way, guys, to 5,000 subscribers. All right? We're on our way there. I'll talk to you guys soon.